Well, cool. We're live streaming this now to the Facebook group. I'll kick it over to Bonnie, do us a little intro, and then we'll get into it.
All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Agencies Talk, a weekly digital marketer talk show hosted by our leadership team, where we get FaceTime with agency owners about their zones of genius. I'm Bonnie Stoneman, as Garrett said, customer success manager for our digital marketer certified partner program. And this week, our host is the one and only Garrett d'Entremont, the director of services here at Digital Marketer and the man usually with the 10-gallon hat. Today, we're joined by Caleb Peavy. Caleb is the founder and CEO of Unmutable, draws on over a decade of leading marketing growth strategies for authors, authorprenuers, and online creators. Marketing is movement, not manipulation, is Unmutable's core belief. Their vision is to help their clients directly and measurably influence 200 million people by 2025. Caleb, his wife Anna, their 4 children, and a few peacocks, yes, peacocks, live in Bethlehem, Georgia. Within Caleb's first week as a certified partner, Caleb locked in his first growth accelerator client. So we are so happy to have you today, Caleb. Take it away.
Well, I'm glad to be here. That intro makes me sound way cooler than I really am. Also, let me just say, I feel like I should give a quick explanation. I set up a different webcam on my Mac, and it looks like sepia style. I'm not trying to be cinematic this morning. Like, let me just be very clear. Like, it's just, I don't even know how to change the saturation setting. So, but yeah, I would be happy to try to find a picture of our peacocks. They've been here for like 30 years on family property, and it's just really fun. And I know that there's a new delivery driver in our local area. When they pull out and they've got their cell phone, they're like walking around my yard trying to film the peacocks. And but they're great guard dogs. It's kind of like a colorful turkey guard dog, if you could. Yeah.
I've heard they're kind of mean. I can go throw on the Stetson if you want me to, Bonnie. But you know, it might detract from the conversation a little bit. So I just want to.
I mean, I've got Stetsons too, man. I mean,
I believe it. I do. I'm going to nerd out with you about peacocks at some point in time, but not today. Not today. You know. But I do want to nerd out. We can nerd out about your agency, about what you're doing, about what you're doing well. Heck, what you're doing wrong. You know, like what are the pitfalls? We always talk about the good stuff, but you know what's hard. But you know, give us the backstory on Unmutable, how you got here, your origin story. Let's start there.
All right. So yeah, there's a lot of wrongs around here. Let me just be very clear. So for me, Unmutable started 10 years ago. So what you're seeing as far as some of the things that are happening around here is kind of an unleashing of bottlenecks that I've just built up over the last 5 years. So basically 10 years ago, I started as kind of more of a photography company, you know, back in the day when DSLRs were like really popular for video and photo. And as I built my business, I realized, wow, it's a lot of work to market yourself and create a website and to create your branding and to get your stuff out there. So if I struggle with that, and I'm actually pretty good at this, then the guy down the street with a lawnmower company has no chance. And so that's when the marketing side kind of started to kick in a little bit. And so I went to every single door in my local community and knocked on the local business and say, I'll build you a funnel. And I got no takers. It was just like, it was daggers to my soul. I was like, I can build you e-commerce and I can build you digital funnels and build your email list and all these things. They had no idea what I was talking about because I'm kind of in a small town. I mean, Bethlehem, Georgia, right? Small town. We're about 45 minutes east of Atlanta. And so as I was doing that, I kind of started to run into a couple other online influencers. I have a music degree by background. And I reached out to some of my influencer friends and said, hey, let me build your website. They're like, we don't need a website. We have 200,000 followers. And I'm like, yeah, you need a website, man. Like, it's not okay that and I went back to the lawnmower. The lawnmower guy down the road has a website now, but you don't, and you've got 200,000 followers. Now they've got about 9 million. And we built over their website and we started working with brands online. And we started just applying the principles to people who were willing to listen. And we've helped people create online powerhouses going from 0 in sales to over 6 million annual in sales for one of our clients. one of our clients, we helped them with creative work, but then we also built out their digital infrastructure, and now they're selling globally all over the place, in the barbecue space. So Texas people, yeah, brisket and all that kind of stuff, right? And so it's been really fun to get to work with these massive barbecue brands. But then halfway through that journey, because of the influencer relationships, we actually started to work with authors specifically. And that was a lot of fun because Amazon doesn't give away pixel data. But now there are some things that they're trying right now in beta, but in general, they don't give away pixel information. And so I was like, hey, we can actually apply business tactical work to marketing for books, because I know how to run ads to make money, and I will just use those same principles so that way we can help you sell books. And so over the last 5 years, we've launched over 150 books. We've had probably 10 to 15 New York Times bestsellers. And we're talking about, people from 1,000 followers to 1 million plus. We've worked with some really cool names. A lot of it is predominantly kind of in the faith space. That's worked really well. But we've also worked with Grammy Award winning people like Lecrae, Kathy Lee Gifford. We've worked with a lot of really cool names. Michael Hyatt, we've worked on a couple of his launches, and it's just been really fun to be part of that. And it's taken a while to get there. Now, along the way, a lot of that was centered around me. And so now we're going to get personal here. So agencies start typically from a foundation of whoever their founder is. And so the problem is, how do you separate, as one of my friends says, how do you separate that meatball? It's just all intertwined, and it's really difficult to start to productize stuff because it's kind of complicated. And so I started, the first hire that I had was literally just a kid fresh out of school. And at the time, he had a music degree too. And I was like, hey, musicians, they know how to handle rejection very well. So I was like, this is perfect. Like I'll hire him in, and he'll be already roughnecked before we even get going. And he had never edited an episode of a podcast. He had never done a video. He just was ready and eager. And to this day, he's done hundreds of podcast edits. He's moved up to doing all of our video production here at Unmutable. And it's been really cool to see that. And so at first I just took anybody that would help me. But then as the team started to grow, it's like, oh, well, we have to find another hole, and we have to find another hole. And how do we fill these gaps? And then I honestly, to be completely transparent with you guys, I did it wrong. I built this thing from the ground up, and I trained every single employee and went the long route. If I would have known about some of the things that I know now as being a fractal CMO and that kind of stuff, I would have leaned on partners to help get the work done so I could grow faster. But the cool thing is, now that we're a team of 8, I've got people who know me better than anybody, probably know me better than myself. And so I say all that story to say, if you're in that same space where you've built your team up from the ground, it is still possible, but you're going to have to accelerate yourself and push yourself higher so that you can get yourself out of the weeds of every day. It's just very difficult at the beginning to do that when you're raising them up. And yeah, again, it's cool that they take the lower level things of a company, but then sometimes you just need that extra somebody that has that experience to help you in some areas. And a lot of that for us surfaced with project management, having systems, basic things like invoicing and scope. And so when we joined the certified partner program a few months ago, I was like, wait a minute, we're able to start from the top down. This is beautiful. I'm not going to get whipped around and beat up by 100 deliverables that we crushed and then not get paid for the strategy that we've been crushing it for people. And unfortunately, scope creep has probably kept us from being able to really hit our potential as a company. But that's over right now. Like that's done. Like that's way beyond the past. So for us now, the strategy is the first part. Like if you're not getting strategy with our company and you don't come in through that front part, then you don't really get access to the other people in our team, just because otherwise, what are we doing? And through this process, Garrett, you don't even know this, but I've also been hanging out with some of the scalable content as well. And we were able to identify here at Unmutable 3 different pillars that we've got as a company And at the top is marketing. It leads everything. Strategy and tactics. That's basically the way I look at it. The second part of it, Unmutable, is creative, because in order for us, when creative and marketing meet, we call that strategic influence, where it's not just tactics. Like you're able to actually bark and prove what you do. And with creative for us, it's copywriting, video, audio, just all the cool stuff, right? And then the invisible talent that we had that I did not even know was technology. And that probably doesn't surprise you guys, because I poke holes in everybody's system and I can't help it. And I just try to help people as we go. And so that was an invisible thing for me. And that was honestly, because it was invisible, that's where I was getting bottlenecked with myself, meaning I was the tech guy, which means all the two-factor authentications for whatever reason come back through me. Anybody else relate to that? And so we're actually been working really hard on any time that something has to come through me, we've been shifting that around other parts and sharing that load a little bit. And so that's been a fun transition. But in general, the certified partner program for us was just an absolute lightning bolt, mainly because we were able to systemize and not have to rethink something quickly. You know what I mean? It's really hard to like when you're creating new things all the time and innovating all the time, sometimes you just need to be able to show up, and sometimes you just need to not have to think, and you just need to be able to use your giftedness. And here's a good example of this. One of the fractal CMO work that we did and signed up with someone, we weren't able to do the workshops in a 8-hour day because he's a New York Times bestseller. He's super busy speaking all over the country. And so I split the 8 hours up into different segments, and we were doing more regular meetings. And I leave those calls. This is so weird for me, but I leave those calls celebrating how little I have to do after the call. And some of you are probably like, wait a minute, how are you doing that? No, I realized that my value was in direction and strategy and my presence, and not in I have to go back and do more things. Now, if they want me to do more things, I can pass that off to my team and send them a quote on what that would be done and give them a deadline. But it was so cool. And here's the thing. The client was actually celebrating the fact that I was there. And then when I wasn't there for a meeting recently, they were like, dude, you can't miss anymore. Like, you have to always be here because we just need you so bad. And the value of that in that direction, here's the crazy thing. Most of everybody here has probably gone through all the certifications, or at least most of them. I did nothing outside of just the basic normal of DM. I did not feel like I had to show up with a million ideas. In fact, I slowed them down. I was like, wait a minute. Like, you can't do all of this stuff. This is impossible. And they appreciated that. So what I'm trying to say is when you just apply the tools that DM's got, man, don't overthink it. Simplify. That's what people are wanting. Even simple things like the 90-day plan, 90-day game plan. When you just use that tool, the alignment it creates on every single person in a team, it's amazing when you start hearing what they feel and what they celebrate. It's just unreal how simple that tool can be effective. And I'm a natural complicator. Like, I've always the person that's like, how can we take something simple and make it really complicated? But I've realized as a CEO and as a business owner, my job security is actually incomplicated, but it's not the way I thought. My job security is in the fact of I should be able to take complicated and make it simple. And I have to do that for every single one of my clients. And by using the DM tools, especially in the Certified Partner Program, it was just, instantly, I started cutting up those. This is just really funny. I literally started cutting up the PowerPoint presentations the moment I had access to them, and just like cut like the half-built bridges. I literally cut it and just was like, whoop, here we go. And it's on my desktop. And anytime I'm on a Zoom call, like, I'll do it with you guys right now. Like, bam, half-built bridge. Like, it's just ready to go. And I've got my presenter notes, and I'm ready to, it's plug and play, man. Like, I just was off to the races that fast. Since then, I was able to actually install our operating system. But I got the leads first by just relationships that I had, and just went to them and said, hey, got something amazing. And they said, absolutely. Bam, signed up. Had one guy not even get to the 90-minute double your sales call. He actually just signed up right there on the Discover call, the 15-minute half-built bridge discussion. So anyway, that's kind of the journey. I know I answered a lot more than you probably asked on that one, but I just want to let everybody know kind of the start to finish. And again, like I said, I know the results. You might be like, oh, how did you sign up 3 people? I've been getting in my own way. And if you're an agency owner out there, you probably feel that tension. And it's really hard when you know it's you and you just don't know how to get out of it. And you don't know what that next step is. And it's a lot of hard work, but here's the thing, it's totally worth it. And as you start to work on your agency and as you start to grow and try to scale things, then you've got to get out of the way so that you can enjoy and work on the things that you've actually built the agency in the first place for.
I always love whenever I can ask one question and it's a 15-minute answer. So,
I speak faster than most. So that was probably like 30 minutes of content.
A lot of information there. There's a couple big takeaways. One of my favorite acronyms we use around here is KISS. Keep it simple, silly. If you don't want to say stupid, you want to be PC, but keep it simple. You have all those tools and frameworks in order to guide the conversation. Sometimes you're just getting in your own way. So that was huge. One of the questions that I want to ask, you said one of those big, one of your kind of pillars of strength that you have whenever you're outlining some of the scalable stuff, right? Is marketing, right? Well, we're a digital marketer, of course, hopefully we're good at marketing, but one of the things that I hear from agencies all the time is the analogy that, the cobbler's kids have no shoes, right? So maybe talk a little bit about your marketing efforts. I mean, I heard door knocking day one, but where talk about that messy middle a little bit, and then also talk about where you're at today, and for those of you that are in a similar place right now, let's kind of hear how you're going out there and getting new business.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've been built on referrals, and I think everybody here probably has nodded their head, we get referrals and that's usually how we get it. And unfortunately, okay, here's one of the things, Garrett. I actually thought I was closing our sales and leads way better than I thought. But then when you actually start going back and seeing all the emails that you get from random people, and sometimes you have a website form that somebody sends you, what happens is a lot of times when a lead would come in, I would just be like, oh, that's not my ideal avatar. I'm just going to ignore it. And that's not okay. Like, here, let me hear you out on that one. It's not okay from the standpoint of ignoring a lead is potentially you're missing out on opportunities of maybe they're not right for you at that time, but maybe they could grow into a lead for you. Maybe and I learned this trick from Dave. I know we all know Dave. Hopefully Dave, is it Albino? I can't even remember how to say his last name.
Albino.
Yep. Okay. Albino. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's like the mountain goat, right? He's the greatest of all time for sales, especially in fractal CMO work, but he loves mountains. Okay. So Dave said, and this was so powerful, that even if you're not he focuses on 7-figure businesses only. And in his funnel, when I went to his website, if you were anything less than 7 figures, he would still serve you, but you just couldn't work with him. And that was an aha moment for me. I was like, all of these people who were too small to work with me now think that I'm never going to want to work with them because of their size. And I'm not saying that you should let people down hard or that you should, crush their dreams. But what I am saying is people will respect you if you lead them in the right places, or you might be missing revenue on the table by introducing them to people who that would be their ideal person. And, or maybe you could potentially look at ways that you don't have to go take a $50,000 contract or a $10,000 contract, where you could just say, hey, this is easy and profitable. Bam, done. Like turn it into a product, right? Instead of worrying, because I think a lot of times agencies, we like to bundle everything. We look for those retainers and we want to like jump right into that and be like, oh yeah, $10,000 retainer. But you know what? Like if you started actually looking at every single item on that list, you might not be as profitable as if you were just helping somebody with $1,000 product that you could just crank out. And, like for example, my executive assistant and somebody was having a WordPress issue and we made $500 in like 10 minutes. It was that easy. We like literally updated it, moved it over to a different server. And I was like, oh, by the way, we'll just send you a invoice at the end of the year for $300 to host on our site the next year. Like it was that fast, 10 minutes. It was easy for us to do. And I didn't even have to do the work. That's just a quick example of saying sometimes bigger is not always better. So it's really important to know the value that you bring, and then also the productization of what that is. Okay, so to get that back to your actual question, Garrett, the way that we actually market ourselves has been very bad. So let me just say that cobblers have no shoes. I had a Squarespace website that was practically the same for like 3 or 4 years with like hardly any updates to it. And I didn't really even have a good lead magnet or anything like that. And so when I signed up for the certified partner program, it's like, oh, we need you to install your OS. And I was like, dang it. Yeah, you're right. So what was happening was we were getting word of mouth people from everywhere. There was no process, right? I'd get a text message. I'd get a Voxer. I'd get an Instagram DM. I would get a random email. But the worst was we had a generic form on our website. I had no idea if the person had $1 budget or $1 million budget. I had no clue of how to separate those avatars from that form because I was just lazy and busy. And this is the worst part, Garrett. Probably for the last 3 years or so, up until 2022, I didn't want more work. Does anybody, I mean, like, can I just be that honest? We were so slammed. I was afraid that if I would get 5 more leads, I just would fall flat on my face and wasn't ready for it.
Natasha gave you a heart there. So
okay.
You're not the only one that feels that way.
But it's true. Like, and maybe subconsciously, this is what I would say. Subconsciously, I would say, I want more revenue, but I'd never made the connection with revenue equals work or productization or upselling people into higher end products. I didn't know what I didn't know. And I was afraid that it was almost like I'd cringe when leads would come through. Like, man, golly, guys, like I'm getting real personal on that one. I hope somebody else on this call at least empathizes in some way with that. And here's the reason why. When the lead would come through, I felt like I have to jump on another sales call with somebody. And because I have to jump on a sales call with somebody, I've got no clue where they're at. I have no clue if this person's wasting my time. I have no clue if this person's going to come to me asking for my ideas and my tactics on this call. And I was basically just too generous with people in general and would just tell them all the things that they should do. And then they would walk away, take all those ideas, and then pay somebody else a fraction of the price. So I had years of just baggage of that sales process. Now on our new website, which you can go check out at unmutable.com, and you can check out our lead magnet on that unmutable.com/grow. I split people up into 4 different avatars. Now, guys, I'm a techie and I'm super nerdy. And I understand some of you are like, how in the world did you do that? I would be happy to show you my Entreport CRM settings later. But like, basically, we identified 4 different avatars that we serve. And now when leads come through, I know where they are and I know exactly how to serve them. In fact, so much so that in the email automation, it's all completely outlined with each and every person. So before I went from, man, when a lead would come in, I had no clue where they were. Now, even that same person, I'm excited when they come in and I just say, hey, listen, we don't have some services for you right now, but if you join this waiting list, we're going to have a few of these things for you in the upcoming months. And they feel so appreciative. They love that. In fact, I even told one person, okay, y'all are going to laugh when I say this. They came to me and they said, I knew that I was installing the website. And they said, I'd like a website. And I said, okay, cool. What does that mean? And I said, what's your budget and what's your timeline? And they came back and they said, I can spend $1,000. It's just like, how do I say this one to this lady? And then I felt a little bad. I felt a little bad because old school would have just been like, ignore, or just said, sorry, our website started at this price. Bye. And I just wrote her a nice letter back and said, listen, you should save your money until you can get it right. because you're just going to waste money on building a system. Like you'd be better off having something super basic or just running some stuff that's basic until you can save up, because I can't just build you a website and build your email automation and all that other stuff for $1,000. Like that's just not going to work. She came back and wrote me the nicest email. And she said, you know what? You're right. Good things are worth it. I'm going to save up and I am going to do the right things in the right order. Now, that's a way that you're able to capitalize. So then I went back later and I thought to myself, you know what? But man, she just needs like a one pager. She just needs a one-page website. So then I started thinking of what's a product I could make as fast as possible to give her as much impact as possible so that when she's ready to grow further, she comes back to me for that. And so then I emailed her a couple of days later and said, if you're willing to pilot something with me, I'm willing to pilot something with you. And I said, I'll build you a website for $1,000, but it's going to be on my terms. And she said, oh my gosh, this is the coolest thing in the world. Like, and instead of disappointing somebody, I was able to delight them with a separate thing. And now I'm looking at it as a way of saying, oh, wow, I can build people. So we identified 3 different stages of growth. So it's the discovery phase, which is learning who you are and who you serve, AKA the customer avatar worksheet and Canvas. And then the second phase is building. This is tactical work where you're doing your websites and podcasts and funnels and all that kind of stuff. And then the last part is scale. And we love working with scale retainer clients, but unfortunately there's a lot more that we could actually still serve with our agency specifically in some of these other areas and build them into it. So we're still working out some of those kinks, but the scalability of our company from knowing the top down method of knowing strategy is creating more bandwidth for us to be able to help do those things. So here's the short answer, Garrett. Our sales system in the past was terrible. It was absolutely terrible. We weren't marketing ourselves because we did not want more work. And now we have a very clear, streamlined process. It's like, go watch this video, go watch this training, see if we're right for each other. And if you don't feel like we're right for each other, then okay, cool. But if you do want to work with us, then here's the terms and here's the next steps.
Awesome. I just want to mention this. If y'all do have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'll be happy to bring them up as Caleb, ends his diatribe and we move on to it.
Sorry, I can be sure. I'll be a lot shorter.
No worries. No worries. I think this is a lot of great, valuable information. We talked a little bit about serving those people that $1,000 site, right? But you said something that just made my ears perk up, and you said, I love working with those people that are in that scale phase and getting them on retainer clients. So talk to us a little bit about, you talked about CVJ at stage 1, you talked about kind of being a technical rollout of acquisition funnels at stage 2. Let's talk about like what that scale package looks like for you and what you're doing for clients.
Yeah. So the fun thing is the middle stage, that when you're doing the building, the CVJ is money, right? Avatar first, know who you are, know who you serve. The second stage is all about CVJ, and at least get the first 4 stages. If you can get the first 4 stages, you'll be fine. But as you grow your business, then you've got to have all 8. Otherwise, you're not going to, it's going to take too long. A customer acquisition is just too expensive. So with the scale phase, what we really, really, really are leaning into are the CP program. I mean, it's just 100% the certified partner tools. So doing the 90-day growth accelerator, I mean, that is exactly where people are. Now, here's something fun, Garrett, that I've learned. It is important that if you jump into a growth accelerator with someone, they may think they're ready to scale, but they might actually still be in that building phase for us. Like in business terms, that's still like the growth phase. And here's what I mean by that. So we signed up a person on that 90-day growth accelerator. They're like, yes, we're ready to scale our business. Yes, we're ready to simplify and to align our marketing and all these things. And I got in and realized, wait a minute, you skipped a lot of steps. And so the cool thing about helping people when they're scaling is that sometimes they may say they're ready for something, but you can actually go back to some of the basic tools like the CVJ or the 90-day the big three, like doing a big three over the 90-day time frame, like that tool right there. I mean, that's money, because so here's a good example. One of the authors that we work with is slightly disappointed with how many books that they've sold this year. And this guy, I can't even say his name because you guys probably wouldn't know who it is. And when I was talking with him, I said, but what is the actual number that you've sold? You know what? I need to like go back and look that up. And I was like, well, first of all, don't say that you don't. I mean, you have to have the actual data. You have to know what you're actually trying to grow here. Ryan said a phrase in the head of marketing boot camp about making sure that you understand what you're trying to grow. And then of course I just hopped in there with my word slings and it was like, you can't grow what you don't know. And as basically the same concept is where you cannot grow the numbers unless you have them documented. And that's so important. And so getting everybody on that alignment. So here's what I've seen. When you're helping people scale, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to help them simplify and get everything aligned, and using the tools like the 90-day game plan, the big three planning canvas, going through and setting up their scorecards and using literally all the tools inside of that. Just, it's so basic sometimes for some of us to think, is that really going to help? It is a game changer. It is an absolute game changer. And of course, there's the growth ideas prioritization sheet, which is my favorite because most of the time, even though I'm an ideas kind of guy, the clients sometimes have so many ideas that they want to execute. But then it's like, oh, well, we can execute all of these, but it's going to be $10 million over the next 90 days. Oh, that's not, no, we don't have that in our budget. We don't even have $1 million. Okay, well, then we have to make a couple decisions now, don't we? So it's just a way to bring that reality check. And then even going back into the customer avatar, what I've found is you have to be very, very good at your avatars when you're ready to scale. And usually there's multiple avatars. And that's really important to have. And then the last tool that I love in that phase with the scale is just the growth engine, which is basically just a beautiful way of mapping out the customer value journey, but it's just a little bit more robust, and you can kind of sync up what email sequences you have and what channels you're using for awareness and how all this stuff relates. It's just a little bit easier of like a flow chart that you can kind of work your way through. I see Pam has a growth engine behind her, and she understands what I mean by that, but it's very helpful when you actually see what's really happening, because if you're trying to optimize on the fly, you're going to die. Like, it's impossible to actually grow until you connect every single one of these things, and you'd be amazed at, okay, this is biggest takeaway. Here you go. Biggest takeaway of this whole lesson. You can just hang up right now after I say this. The temptation when you're helping someone scale is to feel like you have to be big. You feel like you have to have big ideas. You feel like you have to have big plans. But really all you're trying to do is create alignment and help them be better. And when you do that, they'll get bigger. And Truett Cathy with Chick-fil-A said something a long time ago in a board meeting. He let everybody talk in the room. And at the very end, he said, so we all want to get bigger, right? That's what I hear you guys saying. And they all said yes. And he said, in order for us to get bigger, we have to get better first. And usually better, what it looks like when companies are starting to scale or in that scaling process, is they're just not connected. Things aren't connected. They've got stuff all over the place. Some companies like have literal buildings and warehouses that they don't even know exist. And they think they have to go out and create something new. But in reality, if they would just simplify and focus on their core offerings and then upsells from there and then streamline everything. By the way, that's a real example. Like, one of our clients literally bought a
Ivan's
warehouse.
laughing right now. I think he probably can relate or something to the
just a bit.
There you go.
Literally, one of our clients has a warehouse right now that an electric company in Atlanta did not even know they had, and they bought it from them for cash. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're wanting to scale and you want to get bigger, then you just need to get better. And as a marketer, don't fight into that temptation to feel like you have to be this big ideas person. In fact, your job, if you're trying to help someone to scale, is to just bring it all in, get everybody on the same page and say, if we're wanting to go there, then these are the metrics that we have to accomplish in the next 90 days. And if you want to change that plan, we're happy to change that plan. Just know that it might not accomplish what you want. And when you create that clarity and accountability, then it's just hold the line and execute. And whether that's your team executing or you're just leading the charge of it, either way. But I think for me, again, the temptation is just to feel like I have to be bigger than what I am instead of just trusting in the resources and the tools that I've been around for years. And yeah, so to me, that's kind of where I've been as far as helping people scale, is not feeling like you have to be bigger to help them get bigger. Like you just have to be excellent and help them get on the same page.
Let's look at Laura's question here. How do you overcome the NIH not invented here factor? In other words, you stated that agencies that start with a foundation from the founder, it's centered around them. So how do you overcome their seemingly self-sabotage or reluctance to keep an open mind if it's not something they've thought of before? Are there 2 to 3 tips that you can use in your approach? So I guess, yeah, you got it.
Where's Laura at? Let's see. Okay, there you are. All right, Laura, I'm going to ask you, hopefully this will help you with what I'm asking you. Are you saying, how do you convince people to use the digital marketer tools? Are you saying like, how do you get over that hump of feeling like I'm selling something somebody else has and my stuff isn't good enough? Is that what you're saying?
Sort of, but I'm more saying from the perspective of the people that you're helping, the people that, like the founders, right? Like they're coming to you and you're going through the installation of their marketing, strategies, systems, and all that kind of stuff. And you're drawing out things that maybe they haven't thought of before. And they're reluctant to even listen to you. So I call it the NIH factor, kind of like engineers that used to invent software tools, right? Like the marketing department always would go to the engineering department, and that was the biggest battle, right? Because the engineers would be like, well, yeah, okay, we know you want all those bells and whistles, but that's not that easy, or we didn't think of it, so no, you're going to have to come back with a more creative sales pitch to us to make that happen. So how do you, what kind of, do you have a couple tips for working with the founders of these companies that you work with to maybe open their mind a little bit more, give them more depth, right?
I've got a hot take, and this is not going to be kind because I'm pointing right back at myself. You got to lead by example.
Got you.
It sucks. It sucks. Let me tell you, I was having to really question my ability to market myself when we had to rebuild that website and rebuild the funnel and put in a masterclass and install that while also serving high level clients and not seeing a dip in service. And also our nanny over the last couple of weeks was like, oh, by the way, we're piecing out at the end of July for a couple of weeks. I'll see you in August. It was like nightmare, right? So what do I mean by you have to lead by example? So I'm a founder, I'm a CEO. Now, not everybody here, you might be a head of marketing or you might be a digital marketer, but let me just say this by example. When you set the tone, you can look at them square in the face and you can tell them. So I'm a founder, I'm a CEO. I can look at the other person square in the face and say, yeah, I understand that because I made those mistakes too, but now I don't. So you can either do that like the way that you've been doing it and not get the results that you want, or you can just take a piece of humble pie and actually grow the way you need to grow. The reason why most of us, if you're a business owner here in this place, which I think is there, I mean, show of hands, everybody own your own business here? Like, are we all mostly owners? Okay, ready? So here you go. You ready for this? I mean, seriously, this is the biggest thing right here. The reason why you're hesitant to go at them is because you're not at your best yourself. Ooh, I'm sorry. I'm just saying that
absolutely love that. No apologies. I mean, that was the answer I was kind of looking for. So I appreciate that.
And here's the thing, Laura, like it sucks. It sucks. It hurts so bad. But then after you kind of get over that, like punching yourself in the face quite a few times, you go, okay, but you know what? Like, I'm still baller. Like, I'm still cool. Like, people are still calling me. So obviously I have value. So what we're really trying to say is we're having to let go of some of the things that we saw as valuable and really start listening to what the client sees as valuable. The customer is always right. They're not always right about how to fix it. Let me say that, right? So if they say something is wrong, you should always say, oh, they're right about that. Don't look at them as like a doo-doo head, like my team all the time. We're always just laughing at people because we have this one client, literally, we're like, what's the chances that she's going to forget that there was a Zoom call today? Like, in fact, she'll just literally email the team right before the call and be like, hey, do we still have a call today? And I'm like, yeah, you literally checkboxed on the calendar meeting. It's verified. Like, you saw it. But here's the thing. I've learned to flip it the other way and be focused predominantly on the customer focused, because unfortunately I have to say to myself, if it's not right in the company and it did not deliver, that's my fault. I was listening, there's a really, really cheesy Jim Rome, best of audiobook. And I was listening to that this week, and it was just like, 1990s, like cheesy music. And he literally is like, you have to accept responsibility for the results you're getting right now. And here's the thing. If you don't accept it, then they won't. Because people know, they can call your BS. People know, right? So if you're going in hesitant about something because they look at your website and they know that you're not leading by example, like I'll give you a good example. A New York Times bestselling author, dear friend of mine, mainly because I helped her get her first New York Times bestseller. And I said to her, I was like, hey, look at my Instagram bio. I said, I'm going to help 10x your growth in the next 12 months. And she's like, okay, no offense, dude. And she has like 200,000 followers. She said, but you've only got 1,800 followers. So when you position yourself that way and you say that you're a growth expert, but you're only at 1,800 followers, then I look at that and say, yeah, that's nice. But like, he doesn't really back up what he believes. And so that's why you see these people out there who are just crushing it, and they lead by example. I mean, lead by example. You start leading by example, you will have people flocking to you. Like, I promise you on that one. Like, in fact, what's so fun about it is that I don't even have to say, go look at our competitors' websites or go look at your competitor's website. I say, go look at my website. And once I fix my mess in my operating system, thanks to Garrett and the team for telling me I should do that first. Once I fix that problem, I felt a lot more confident, because then they buy into it. They bought into what I'm doing. And then I can go to them and say, you know what? I struggle with that same stuff too. And this is what I did to fix it. Freud said this, or Carl Jung. Yeah, it was Carl Jung. He said, you cannot take people to where you have not been yourself. Plain and simple. So if you want to scale someone else's business and you're not scaling yourself, then start there.
That's good. That's excellent. I appreciate that.
I saw
Thank
some
you.
light
Thank you
bulbs
for the
go
question. I
off.
knew what you were asking, because I've been there. And so I'm just speaking to myself at this moment, and I'm still speaking to myself, like, transferable value. How can I get this stuff off my plate and still be successful with stuff? Like, that's my word.
Yeah. Well, and then when you're working with other founders, right? Sometimes they need to be told that in a maybe not so subtle way. Like, once you know their personality type or whatever, you don't want to, like, obviously offend them, because customer service 101, but at the same time, some people really just need it, right? Would you agree? Like, some people just need to be told, hey, look on your own side of the fence, right?
Yep.
Like, look at what's in your backyard or your front yard.
Now, here's a fun thing, right? So sometimes you don't have to. I'm kind of abrasive, like, if y'all haven't figured that out. But I've also learned the power of reality. So asking questions like, well, how did that work? Is that result getting you what you want? What's stopping you from getting it done like that? In fact, one of our clients was like, I don't like our podcast titles. And I was like, okay, well, what's stopping? Well, I don't know. I don't know the processes. I'm like, well, maybe it sounds like you should write your podcast titles before you record your podcast. And he goes, yeah, I guess I should probably think about, maybe I'm not writing them. Maybe that's the reason why they're wrong. And people aren't stupid. Now, if you get to somebody and they're like not listening, then I think maybe that's a clear sign that you should jump ship and go somewhere else. But in general, if they're a good, normal human being, then chances are they're reasonable and they're willing to listen to you. But they have to have data. They have to have example. They need to have real things that they can go by. A great audiobook, 1.5 hours, is The Temptations of a CEO. That was recommended in the Scalable. Yeah, I see that. It's a good book, man. It's a killer book. It's just really good for you to get into the mind of what leaders go through. And so we did it last month on the Scalable Circle channel, and it's only an hour and a half read. Like, that was 2 45-minute sessions at the gym just listening to it, and that was really fun. So anyway, all right, what else?
Cool, thank you.
All right, Ivan, I saw you had a hand raised earlier. You still got a question? No.
I just wanted to add, like, it's similar like what Laura asked about. I like to put it that way for for entrepreneurs early on. I like to have them add the charge brave tax. So whatever your price is, at 10%, and like that's your new price. So that's like similar, that there are so many self-limiting beliefs, and that's what I wanted to jump on Caleb. But Laura, I don't think that, you can, argue with your clients. I mean, they are paying you to make sure that they are growing or they are achieving goals. That's sometimes not agreeing. So I really, really felt what Caleb was talking about. That's what I wanted to add.
Awesome.
Yeah, growth is more than just metrics. You're also growing the human too. I mean, and that's especially in scale, man. You can get away with it in kind of a growth stage, but when you hit scale, you're going to run into some major issues if businesses aren't ready for that. I mean, and the only way that you can get there is just create the alignment. And then if the alignment doesn't hold and people are afraid, if they're blaming you for the results that they're constantly changing, then you have a sign of maybe we need to move on.
Let's talk about, I one of the things I've been kind of circling my mind a little bit about recently is tech stack, attribution, like, I heard you doing Entreport. You're doing, it sounds like podcasts are big in your specific space. Like, how are you doing attribution with those podcasts whenever, you're getting leads or sales coming through? Kind of walk me through some of these metrics reporting, the technical side of things that, sometimes we don't talk about. We're talking about, conversations a lot, but you said you were you've redone the website, and you're happy to walk through that Entreport layout with us, but kind of talk about what you're doing now and what you're seeing success with right now.
Yeah, so that's a great question. Literally, I think I was in the middle of head of marketing training with Pam. I was at the beach. I don't know if Pam remembers that, when I was at the beach. And I was on the beach watching the trainings. I came back up to my room later that afternoon and said, I'm going to start a podcast specifically about book launch and all insider stuff. And I said, I'm just going to do the quickest, fastest thing I could possibly do. So I went on Buzzsprout, which is a really awesome podcast platform. And I created the graphic in Canva while I was sitting there enjoying the summer outdoors with potentially some tobacco pipe, all the things, right? I was at the beach, don't judge me. And so I was out there enjoying it. And I literally created the artwork right there. I texted my friend and said, will you join me? And here's the power of how all this has shaped up. That podcast is going to be $1 million podcast. How do I know that? Because I'm reaching the exact target audience that I'm going after. And guess what? I've only had like 350 downloads in 3 episodes, but it has already generated over, I think, $20,000 or $30,000, because I asked people like, hey, what did you hear? And they said, I listened to this episode that you talked about, and that's exactly why I'm here. Now, metrics wise, that's not on paper. Okay. Like, so I can't tell you like, 300 downloads equals $30,000. No, but what I can tell you is that on that podcast, if you listen to it, you're going to get value, and you're going to go, wow, that person just delivered a lot of value in that place. Imagine what that person can do for me if I pay him. And then I started actually adding, and see, by the way, that was with the old junky website that we had. Now, because Buzzsprout actually uses dynamic ads that you can put on the front and the back end, by the way, it's only like $15 a month. Like, are you kidding me? Like, it's a great little podcast creator. But anyway, I run dynamic ads on it, and I can stick the masterclass that we just launched on the front and the back end of it with a call to action to the masterclass, and then also a call to action at the end with signing up for my free lead magnet. And so, Ontraport, diving into that side of things with tech stack. So our tech stack currently is WordPress, Elementor on the front end. That's what we build all our websites with. Like, I mean, to me, it's the best. Don't talk to me about Squarespace. Don't talk to me about Show It. Like, all that stuff, it's not flexible. And I've just built enough of these things to know WordPress, Elementor is like the GOAT. And then I was looking at all the different CRMs out there. ActiveCampaign was up there. Obviously, I didn't want to dive deep into a heavy lift like Keep or Infusionsoft. And so I ran across Ontraport, and it is very powerful with automation. So it's kind of like it's in between ActiveCampaign and Infusionsoft. And it did take a little bit of a learning curve. I was hoping that I would be able to put my content learning system in there. But then I got in there and you couldn't even like design a header in their platform. And I was like, nope, I'm out. And so I swapped over to MemberPress. So now here's our stack. So we've got Elementor, we've got Ontraport running the actual emails. I've got MemberPress hosting my actual membership program. And then WP Fusion just ties all that stuff together. So if you sign up for an affiliate, you sign up for the email stuff, it's just really cool and powerful to be able to tie all that tech in together. And I love pioneering the tech systems. Now, I think you could probably get away with just like a front end WordPress with ActiveCampaign. Like, I think that's just a killer 1-2 punch. And if you use Elementor, they've got a lot of like tie-ins that you could just tie it straight into ActiveCampaign. Of course, if you're doing e-commerce, Klaviyo, 100%, like don't even think twice about that. And then make sure you talk to my boy Hamoon on that one. Like, that dude is a genius. So that's kind of where we're at with that. I don't know if I answered your question all the way, but yeah, it's kind of daunting a little bit because we hadn't really used CRM work for ourselves, but we use it for our clients all the time. And, I had an ActiveCampaign, I had a ConvertKit and all these things. But the thing is, I needed something that was a little bit more robust in case I wanted to do actual sales systems through it and collect payments and do that. That's why I went with Ontraport. Thanks, Ben, for showing up. Heck yeah.
Well, I know we're approaching the top of the hour here, so I want to, I want to take this opportunity. Want to say thank you. I don't have anything going on after this. Well, I have work to do, but if y'all want to hang out a little bit longer, that's fine. But I know probably some people got to duck out here, so including you, maybe.
I can hang a few minutes.
But yeah, if you want to, do your promo, where to connect, where should we be following you? Are you in the Facebook group? Can we shoot you a DM, et cetera? So maybe tell us where to find you.
Yeah. So what I would recommend is to go to unmutable.com/grow and just have some fun with the funnel and just see what I did there. Maybe you're not an author. That's okay. You might be an online business or whatever. It doesn't matter. Just fill it out, have some fun. You can see it and see how we did 4 different results. The other thing is, like, I love being on Instagram, LinkedIn. Those are the 2 primary places. My Facebook account has been used by so many Facebook groups over the years. I try to hop in when I can, but typically I log into Facebook and there's like 250 notifications on my profile. So if you tag me there, it's not because I don't love you. Like, I would rather just give you my personal email address. Like, I'll just give that to you guys right there. Look, I'd rather just give you that than just be like, tag me in Facebook.
Michelle's gonna @ everyone so you better.
Like, you can add away. Like, I literally don't see it. Like, I don't. It's just it just gets buried because I mean we have like 50 accounts that we're tied to. So tag him, send him an email, LinkedIn message. Yeah, classic. But yeah, follow the. I love that opt-in. It's the 10-minute training. It's based around the half-built bridges, if you guys have heard of that. And it's a good example of how we actually applied the operating system to ourselves. So that's the real I don't need you guys your email address, right? You could DM me, whatever, like that's fine. I really just want to say, I want to lead by example. I want you guys to go and see what we did so that you can look at it and say, okay, I see that. I think I could do that. Or I see these certified partner program pieces that they talk about. How do I install it myself? And again, we did it. We actually are linking, even look at the ways that we linked the CP logo on the website. I went and linked it to what the certified partner program was about, because I wanted our clients to see it instantly and go, oh yeah, that's sick. I see why he's doing that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, cool. Such a great session, Caleb. So excited for you. Thanks for everyone. This is a genius. Love the link to the logo. Yep. Would love for y'all to go do that. Go hack his funnels a little bit.
Please
cool.
do.
Well, we will. You're not going to be a stranger now, are you?
No, I mean, if anybody wants to hang out for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and ask a question, I mean,
yeah,
literally.
if y'all got questions, like I said, yeah, I mean, I don't have anything buttoned up to this, so we can hang out for a little bit longer. If y'all have some questions, feel free. Feel free to duck off if you got to. But yeah, this is you got a smart guy here to ask questions of. Maybe y'all are looking at his funnel right now. They're probably just like funnel hacking at this moment. They're like, yeah, see, I see Ativa's doing it. But I got to check this out.
Garrett, I know I'm a genius in some things, but I'm a complete idiot in so many. Like,
yeah.
In fact, that's going to be probably a book.
Welcome to being human.
Dude, I'm talking idiot stuff like, don't forget to take out the trash and put it to the bottom of the road. Like, I mean, normal human behavior.
Oh,
good to see you, Pam.
Are you still making music?
Yeah, man. Yeah. Wait, I've been doing, I'm getting ready to probably record a Christmas single here in the upcoming weeks. I know nobody's saying about Christmas in August, but in music world, you kind of have to start now, because by the time it comes out, it's almost over and moves on. So.
Well, we look forward to seeing the new release. And if you need any backup singers, I know Bonnie and Michelle are really great at harmony. So.
Oh yeah, man! Look at that, man. They're like Googling me, and it shows the singer first. Yeah.
No, I DJ. I don't sing.
She does DJ, yeah, and she's a lot closer to you than she's in Florida. So.
Yeah.
Florida, Georgia.
Okay, so what I hear you guys saying is I need to work on a little bit of SEO. Oh yeah, see, that's what's so funny is a musical artist. That's funny. Yeah. Well, I guess I need to claim. You know what? I'm gonna claim my knowledge, guys. I have a knowledge panel. Oh my gosh! Like, I'm an official influencer.
Congratulations, Caleb.
That's so funny. Oh, by the way, listen. Here's a fun tip. Can I share my screen?
Yeah, I can. Yeah.
Okay, so here's a fun little tip that I did. Can you guys see the calebpeavy.com that's coming up here?
Yep.
All right. So here's something. This is a great tip for almost anybody, because I had to, don't waste 10 hours of your time thinking about it like I had to think about it. I created a founder's website. So simple. I mean, it's literally one page in Elementor, made it full width, full vertical height, which is if you want to stretch to minimum height of 100 VH, if you're really nerdy about it. And then I just slapped the information in there. I put a quote for myself and just linked up my stuff. And the reason why I did that is because I had too many half-built bridges over the years of just like random acts of marketing and random blog posts and all this other random stuff up there. I was like, you know what? I don't want to have a brand liability hanging around there. And so I just jumped in there, put some brand assets in, grabbed a photo that I had from Canva, knocked it out and put it in the bottom corner, and just made a founder's website. Like, it took me an hour after the kids went to bed one night. And I was like, this kind of thing is really smart for you to do outside of your actual business. I think it's important that you separate yourself from your business, because the moment that you do, you're able to still have something in case you decide to sell it. I think it's important to be a face for your brand outside of just your brand. Because unfortunately, brands don't sell very well on organic social, but founders and personal profiles can. And so I think that using your face and being a cheerleader for your brand, but then separating it off with your domain name, I mean, that's just so basic, but man, it was so liberating for me to say, if somebody Googles calebpeavy.com, I don't feel so like helpless.
Lots of love in the chat there for that. So I think there's some action to be taken from this. I hear you're so night out over morning, early riser.
Well, that was that night, mainly because my boys, they don't get to play video games usually until after 7 p.m. when the little kids, I got 4 kids. So it's like the older 2 and the little 2. So the older 2 usually get to play between like 7:30 and 8:30 around there. And I was just like, man, I'm really tired. I want to go to bed, or I could just watch Netflix and build a website. I was like, which one am I going to do? Like, and so I just did it. Most days I actually wake up about 4:40 in the morning to go work out. And I still try to get about 7 to 8 hours of sleep at night. So, that means I'm in the bed usually at like 9 o'clock. So I'm a weirdo.
And then final question for me, do you really smoke a tobacco pipe, or was there something else in that pipe?
No, it's just tobacco only. Yeah. I'm kind of basic that way, old school. It was actually a cigar. If you're ever in Panama City Beach, there's a really great PCB cigars down there, and they have a great selection. So
there you go. Well, PCB cigars, go check them out.
Yeah, they don't even know
who if they need a new website. Get them an e-com store started for them.
And that, dude, that's okay. So that's a great thing that you just said right there. A lot of times, my old days, I would actually, I would be like, hey, listen, give me some cigars. I'll build your website tonight for free, right? And we'll just do some trade. Document what you think the actual value is for stuff like that. Because as business owners, when we first start, trade was like what we would do. You know what I mean? Like you kind of survived by bartering when you first get going, but then count the costs, man. Really count the cost of what that's going to do to you. Because if you're not careful, like you might be short selling yourself big time. Like I almost built a guy a website for a really cool custom made putter, like, yeah, a golf putter. And he was kind of slow getting back to me, and I was ready to go. And I would have lost out on a lot of time and money if I just by chasing something like that. And I could have just gone and bought it myself. And I know that sounds weird, but listen, guys, if you're a founder, you probably still struggle with scarcity mindset, and you have to like get over that. And you have to say, what is the value? Just write it down. That would cost me X. What would it cost me on my time to deliver my side?
Well, here we're gonna need to get 18 in whenever I see you here at some point,
dude. Actually, yeah. My brother's a YouTuber golfer. You know that, right?
I did not know that, but
yeah, Luke Peavy, look him up. He's actually got like 10,000 followers on YouTube. Like, I'm not joking.
Yeah.
And he's been hit up by like Good and all those guys. So when we're in Austin in November, like we should go hit up the course. Like that would be so fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm only playing 36 this weekend, so.
But by the way, don't judge me. Like he's amazing. Like he's a scratch golfer. He actually plays in real tournaments. So he actually just beat Mr. Short Game. I don't know if you know who that is on YouTube, but he just beat him.
No, but I'm gonna go look at him. All right, cool. Well, let's wrap it. We're about 7 minutes over, and people are dropping off here. So, but yeah, we'll get around going for sure. And thank you so much again, and great job implementing all this stuff, man.
Yeah. Hey, what
You're an inspiration.
What good is knowledge if you don't put it to use? Just keep it simple. Get it out there. Love it, guys. Won't be a stranger. We'll see you soon.
See you soon, brother. Bye.
Yeah.